Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Small Biz Chat on Facebook. I'm Lorraine Ball.
And I'm Jennifer Denny.
And some of you have been chatting with us on Clubhouse. But one of the things that we found was not a lot of you were on Clubhouse, and we wanted to broaden the conversation.
Yeah, a lot of people are on Facebook. I mean, it is the #1 social platform, unless you count YouTube, which some people do.
Well, yeah, and that is that's a whole different ball game as well. But this morning we're going to talk about Facebook, Facebook a little bit, and specifically Facebook ads.
Yeah. Start to get into the psychology of the social ads and your design.
Well, and I think a lot of people think all they need to do is create a pretty ad and everything's going to be great. But I think Facebook ads are a lot more than just a pretty face.
Yeah, they're complicated. There's definitely a lot of levels to it, and I hate to say that it's complicated, but it is. Like it's not simple.
Okay, so let's do a couple things. Number one, where do you start when you're thinking about creating designs for your Facebook ads? What are some of the things you keep in mind? And then I'll share some of the things I keep in mind.
Well, I think it all starts with messaging and how you talk about your products. If you don't have a good message, which probably if you back it up even one more step, if you haven't identified who you're trying to target and how to talk to that person, then that really then relays into design.
And this is really old school, and maybe because I am a little old school, but everything starts with your customer. It starts with figuring out who is your ideal client, what's going to catch their attention. And then when you have that, then you can start thinking about your messaging, because now you know who you're talking to.
Yeah, and once you've kind of got the messaging down, that can help relay into what kind of creative do you use? What kind of colors do you use? What kind of specific people do you have in your ads? Do you have people? Do you not? That could be your product or service.
So when you're constructing Facebook ads, because, we all play on Facebook, we all do tons of posts, and you kind of watch what, things that work, things that don't. But are there some general rules that you follow or like to pay attention to create a visual ad that actually is going to grab somebody's attention?
Well, #1, take the word ad out. Nobody likes to be sold, but everybody likes to buy.
Yeah, there is that.
So when you're creating an ad, you need to think about, this is the first impression that somebody is going to encounter about your business. And the honest truth is we all care about ourselves. We all care about solving our own problems, and we want solutions. And so if you're not addressing the problems that your potential clients are having and providing a solution, then you got to stop there.
Absolutely. And I think this is one of the challenges with let's call it Facebook promotion, or instead of Facebook ads, is that at the same time that you're trying to solve these problems, you're also competing with pictures of babies and delicious food and funny memes and political ads that get my blood pressure up. Yeah, keep going. So how do you come up with something that is going to not only talk to the audience, but also really connect with and break through some of that clutter so they even pay attention to you.
Well, get them to stop scrolling first. Almost every 3 posts is now an ad.
Wow.
They're not going to go away. We're not going to live in this utopia that ads don't exist. They're going to be there, but you need to get them to stop scrolling. And the way that you do that is to think outside the box. Animation. Now, I'm not talking about complicated animation. You can use Canva. Just get some movement, just something moving, flashing, something to get them to stop. Some people might call that a video ad. Now, a full-fledged video ad is great, but that can get a little pricey depending on what you got to do.
I got to tell you, you had one that stopped me, and you were trying to get people to subscribe, and all you did was animate the word subscribe. It just flashed a little bit. It got a little bigger, and it definitely got my attention because it was moving as I was scrolling this way. It was going that way, and so it stopped me.
Yep. And very inexpensive tools like Canva can allow you to do that. Canva is really perfect for creating ads. Don't get me wrong, we have the entire suite of Adobe, but Canva is the answer to building great ads and getting that animation.
I think, and I without this becoming a commercial for Canva, I have been very resistant because I had a subscription to Adobe. What do I need Canva for? And then I kind of got into it and realized how easy it is to, even if you take something that you originally built in Adobe, take it into Canva to animate it, to change the text, to make those on the fly updates, and then push it to Facebook. It's a really nice tool.
Yeah, and it can do a lot of different things, but so the next thing I would kind of say is, if not animation, think about carousel ads. So these are the ads that you can scroll through, and they work really well for product ads, but they also work well to tell a story.
Yeah. I really like the carousel ads. We've experimented a little with those with recipes where you have the finished product, and then you show the ingredients, and then come back to the finished product. And people they kind of want to know, how do I make that? And it's a lot less expensive than producing a quote tasty quality kind of video, and it really stops people. What do you think about, because Facebook has both the carousel where you swipe and the one that's more of a slideshow?
Slideshows are good, but I'll actually create a slideshow in Canva versus Facebook's tool. And that's a slideshow is a great example of a video that's not the full production of a video, where you can add text over the top of it and you can add some motion to it. And so it really allows to create those too. And those are great attention grabbers for sure.
So why do you like the Canva tool versus Facebook? I mean, I have my opinion, but and I have opinions.
So do I. I like the Canva tool because it has more options. Inside of the Facebook, you're kind of limited with the animations. First of all, they only have, I think, 4 or 5 options, and you have hundreds inside of Canva. You also, I think you have to choose particular sizes or something, and that's just something else. Throw people off. They're used to seeing a 1080 by 1080. Throw them off with a different size, and they'll be, oh, well, that's different.
Oh, that's something I was reading a while ago was, for a long time, what I would call the landscape post was what you used on Facebook. Yeah. And then as Facebook and Instagram kind of morphed together, and more people were creating on Instagram and pushing to Facebook, you saw more of the square 1080 by 1080.
Yeah.
But every now and then it's really nice to do almost the pin size or the story size and get that into the news feed, because it breaks up the visual.
On the visual too, think about being really outside of the box. Like, people like to see cats and their family and things like that. And think about if you had an ad with a cat and you just called it out in ad copy. Hey, I know this is not about an ad about a cat, but I got your attention. I need to tell you about something. and go in there and, start telling them about it. And there's also long form and short form content.
Well, and I'm going to go back on the cats because I'm going to tell you, this is a funny story. A few years ago, as a joke, we were sitting around and we were kidding because back then we were teaching live classes. Remember those?
Oh,
we
yeah.
We were teaching live classes in the office, and of course, we have these two office cats. So we actually designed an ad that said "free kittens." And then I mean, 3 kittens in this picture of these 2 adorable little kittens. And then in the fine print, it said, okay, we're not really giving away the kittens, but if you come to the class, you can hang out with Benny. And at that point, I think it was Truman and Clyde.
Yeah.
We did that same ad on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And surprisingly, on LinkedIn, it did better than it did on Facebook. And then we did a more traditional ad. And one of the things that I think was going on at that time was it was so outrageous to see the photograph of the kittens on LinkedIn. People were like, what?
Yep. It's outrageous.
And we broke through. And again, that's not necessarily perfect for everybody. But if your brand will allow you to be, and I think that's, the other thing on the visuals is you got to get your customers' attention, but you also have to be true to who you are. And if your brand is a little conservative, it's a little harder to be outrageous. But if your brand will let you be outrageous, I mean, in other words, if that's your personality, push it.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you try to do what everybody else is doing, you're just going to be muddied in the waters and you're just going to look like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be different. You've got to do things a little bit differently.
And I think you want to do things a little differently, but I think there also needs to be a common element, and that common element needs to maybe be more than just your logos, things that connect, so that when people see them, they look familiar without looking boring.
Yeah.
And that's for me, that's always been kind of a hard balance for us, because when we go, we go consistently and we want to use the same colors and we use a similar layout. But then after a while, if I look at them at a distance and I'm not really reading the words, they all look alike. Yeah. And so then you kind of have to shift, and when you shift, they have to fit in. It's kind of like managing your closet. You've got a bunch of basic colors and that's what you always wear. And then you add that one piece that matches, but is a little bit more fun.
Yeah. You want to talk about data and how you know if your design's working?
Oh, of course I want to talk about data, and that way I'll know if my design is working. Because this is your happy place.
Yeah, this is my happy place. If you can't measure it, then you can't show value to it. And so the first thing that you are looking for is engagement. Mm-hmm. So literally, there is a metric in the Ads Manager that says engagement, and that encompasses comments, likes, and shares. Are you getting people to stop scrolling and engage with your ad? Step 1. So you want to look at those. If you are, then Facebook is getting the signal that, hey, people like this ad. Let me show it to more people. Let me make you not pay as much for this ad because people like the ad. Mm-hmm. And you get people to like the ad because you have a good design. Next step is going to be, not only did they engage, did they actually outbound click to my website. Now, not just a click. That's very deceiving. Inside of Facebook Ads Manager, it says click. That's not what it is. You want an outbound click.
Yeah, because the other click is just maybe to zoom in on the ad to learn more about what's going on, and you haven't really moved them out of Facebook and to taking action.
Correct. And now there's even one that's even another step further. Not only did I click on the ad, landing page view. Did I wait for that website to load?
And that's going to be a really small percentage. And so you need to kind of be looking at all of those signals, because if you don't get the first one, you're not going to get the second, and you're definitely not going to get the third.
And then after that, really, it's the landing page's guide. It's their job from that point to get the conversion, and it's no longer the ad. The ad has done its job. Now you need to make sure the website is able to convert.
And Facebook is making it harder and harder. Even though they're collecting your money, they're making it harder and harder for you to actually capture what you're looking for. They make it very expensive if you want to take somebody off their platform. And one of the things that we just saw, we're a Constant Contact user, and we had embedded the Constant Contact sign up for your newsletter right into Facebook. They had a plugin that worked together.
Okay. Facebook
has just eliminated it. They're not going to honor it anymore.
That might be Apple.
This came from Facebook.
But Facebook might have had to do it because of Apple.
Because of Apple? Well, except that that in order to sign up, it's not just a click. You actually have to put in your contact information. So it was a very specific plugin. It wasn't just, hey, add me to the list. It's, hey, here's my info. I really want to sign up. It was just inside of the Facebook world. And I think that's what Facebook recognizing the power of email marketing and the ability to have a conversation with a customer that's not on their platform.
And, they're going to have to get on the game there, because first party data, emails that you have collected is where it's at.
Absolutely.
But I've also found some other ad platforms that we should probably talk about how to get first party data.
So you know what? This might be a great place to kind of wrap up for today.
Yeah.
Encouraging people, hey, if you've enjoyed today's conversation, look for this every Friday morning. It's a little different because Jennifer and I are used to just chatting on Clubhouse, where we can put our little headphones in and just do whatever while we're talking. So we're getting a little bit more set up here. One of the things that I missed is the interaction, but if you click on the StreamYard link during the program, you can actually comment, and we'll see your comments and make these much more interactive next week.
Yeah, we should probably also mention too that I'm going to be doing a webinar here for the Digital Toolbox on the top 10 ad mistakes with Facebook that you're probably making.
Absolutely. And you can find the registration for that class on the Digital Toolbox. The class is set for Tuesday, June 8th. And we had a sellout the first time Jen did it. So if you're interested, you want to grab a seat for this next session. And then come back next week for another chat. We're going to be talking about Google Smart Campaigns. So that's kind of it for now. We'll see you next week.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.